So how do you make it? How do you overcome the odds? You gotta be the hardest workers in the room. And don't f the opportunity up. At some point, you gotta be tired of not being number one. You have to be, and you gotta play angry, and I play angry. Now, I'm cool and calm with my approach, and when I step out on my field, which is a set, or, you know, like, and you're always gonna have haters, and haters are like, well, God damn, man, how many movies you gonna make, or how much you gonna do? Like, you do a lot of I say, yes, it's my ambition. Of course, why not? I could do it, yeah. I love what I do. And not only that, but in what world do we not work every day? The prep is where the character is made. The key with me is just always finding what the anchor is. And an anchor is getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning every day before anybody else and grounding my thought process is in the no one will outwork me. No one. All starts with this. 2 hands, putting it to work. The gym for me and this physical activity for me is my anchor, and I always, you know, I would recommend that for all of you guys in the room is for us to find that anchor, whether it's hiking or biking or yoga or meditation or whatever it is. Because for me, the gym or just some sort of physical activity, it anchors my day, and then it allows me to go on and work for the rest of the day. So, it's way more than just physicality.
Yes.
It's way more than just picking up a weight. It is my balance, it's my anchor, it's my spiritual anchor, mental, because what it allows me to do, and we all need this because this treadmill of life, there's no stop button, so it's so crazy. It just allows me to block out the noise and clear my head, think about what I need to do or accomplish, or think about the things I need to accomplish without the influx of information and people trying to tug at me and pull at me.
Absolutely.
The thing that has worked for me is to remember the hard times. So before anything big that would happen, I would always take a moment and I just remind myself, all right, I was evicted when I was 14. We were kicked off the island. We couldn't live in Hawaii. Had no place to live. A lot of shit happened. Then when I moved to Nashville, I was arrested multiple times by the time I was 16 years old. I gotta remember that if I were playing on this team. But before I lace up, before I get on the court, before I play in these big games, before I go to the Staples Center, where history is there, those are historic walls there at the Staples Center. I would remember that, and it allows me then to be present in the moment and understand, holy shit, the stuff I have around me right now, this is shit that I dreamed of when I was a kid. I had a piss poor senior year, 0 production, no NFL, no combine invite, nothing. Finally went to the CFL, Calgary Stampeders, making $250 a week Canadian. Now I had to send that home to my wife at that time. Had no money. So I remember that. When I got cut from Canada, I had $7 in my pocket. And I always tell that story. So now my production company is $7, advertising agency is $7, everything is $7. So I always remember that. What helps me is to keep the hard times in the front of my mind, because it allows me to go into these big moments that I've worked my ass off, and you guys have worked your ass off. It allows me to go into these big moments with a different perspective. What it also does for me, and again, this is what works for me. I keep my back is up against this mother. Every day, it's against this wall. But it's up against this because it's what I believe in. And when my back is against this, then there's nowhere to go but that way. And I gotta go that way. And I don't give a who is in front of me. They're not gonna stop me. So how did I get here? By being the hardest worker in the room. The one thing that will never, ever, ever go away is you get your ass in that weight room and you put in the work. That's gonna happen when you're 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. That never goes away. You either say, I'm done, or this, whatever the is going on, it's temporary, and it may me up at some point down the road, but I'm not gonna let this opportunity go by without giving it my all. My dad, in his pickup truck, came down 4 o'clock in the morning, picked me up in Miami from Tampa. We lived in a little apartment in Tampa. He drove down in his little pickup truck to Miami to get me when I was cut from the CFL. I was driving up I-75. I-75 is like, especially down in Florida, Alligator Alley. I'll never forget it. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. I leave home. I'm ready to tackle the world, to get after it, achieve my dreams and goals. Crushed by 22, 23 years old. Now I got to move back in with my mom and dad. I played on great teams though. Wait a second, this is not supposed to be my future. I'm supposed to be in the NFL right now. I'm supposed to be making a lot of coin and buying my parents buying me taking care of my wife, but it never happened. So I pulled out my wallet, I thought, well, let me see how much money I have. I opened it up, I had a 5, a 1, and change. I'm not around, and at least I rounded up to $7. But I thought, God, ain't this, I got $7 in my pocket. Where the do I go now? What do I do? If I had to be great at something, I wanted to be great in this world of Hollywood and movie making and producing and entertainment, I had to commit. You commit to something, commit to the goal. They said, what do you want to accomplish? I said, I want to accomplish the world. I want the world, and I want Will Smith's career. And I said, and I mean this respectfully because I know he's here at this agency with us, I want to do it bigger and better. And I still had these, still put in the hard work with my 2 hands. And that's it. And that's what it comes down to with you guys too. There's nothing you can't accomplish.
I had gone through my first bout of depression. I was 18 years old. After that, I think I was 23. Then after that was when I got a divorce. So it had been a learning experience through that. Therapy really helped me. Once I understood that, number one, I'm not alone when it comes to mental struggle, and that we all go through it. Because growing up, being in a house, like my dad was tough love, so sharing feelings and emotions, I didn't have that. So I held everything in, and plus I was an only child. I was the strong, silent type. Meanwhile, there was a lot of stuff happening going on in here. For me to become the man that I am today, fortunately, one, I'm not alone. But then the other side to that, it's like the A side, the B side, and maybe the most important side is to communicate and talk and get it out. It's about being vulnerable and the power of being vulnerable, and something that we shy away from. Certainly men, I need to talk about this. I need to talk about this. I need to talk about my issues, my fears, my depression, and it be okay. And so not only am I okay with it, but at times I actually enjoy it, to be able to get it out, especially if publicly, and talk publicly too about it and how important that is too. So that's the tricky thing, I think, as we all go through this. What I've realized in the past couple of weeks is it's good to explore these feelings on feeling a little guilty, and I didn't get a chance to say the things that I wanted to say, or I wish he would have said the things to me as a father, now as a father of 3 daughters, the important critical things that anchor us that I didn't get from him. And it's okay to explore those feelings, but it's also very important to heal, to make sure that we come back to an anchoring foundation of gratitude. Gratitude for what I was able to have with him. But I would say my work ethic from my dad always said too, that regardless of what you do in life and where you go, respect is going to be given when it's earned, and you have to go out and earn it every single day. The importance and the power of finding your identity and being true to who you are. Even in that wild world of pro wrestling, it still applies to everyone in the room, and how powerful that could be, because it was a true shift and click moment, and I never looked back, and I became, fortunately, the biggest draw that the business has ever seen. Really listen, become a really good listener, and it took me a long time to understand that and how important that was, because when you become a good listener and you're really listening to your partner in this relationship of love and spirit, as you talk about, then inherently you become more empathetic, and when you become more empathetic, then you just understand your wife and your partner on a deeper level, on a greater level. And then there's a greater level of appreciation too as well. And when I talk about these little things and really truly being in the moment and being present, and how important that is. And so even more present, because the other stuff I feel, the fame and the accolades and all that stuff is awesome, but that comes and goes. This kind of connection, this and what I have with my family and my daughters and people, that means everything. I still see every opportunity that I have as like a little crack in the wall, a little scratch, and it's almost as if every opportunity the scratch represents every opportunity. Therefore, the success on the other side of the scratch is the light. Scratching hard, clawing, digging, it's that mentality to really take advantage of every opportunity I have.
I found that nothing in life is worthwhile unless you take risks. Nothing. Nelson Mandela said, "There is no passion to be found playing small and settling for a life that's less than the one you're capable of living." Now, I'm sure in your experiences in school and applying to college and picking your major and deciding what you want to do with life, I'm sure people have told you to make sure you have something to fall back on. Make sure you got something to fall back on, honey. But I never understood that concept, having something to fall back on. If I'm going to fall, I don't want to fall back on anything. I want to fall forward. I figure at least this way I'll see what I'm going to hit. Without consistency, you'll never finish. So do what you feel passionate about. Take chances. Don't be afraid to fail. There's an old IQ test, was 9 dots, and you had to draw 5 lines with a pencil within these 9 dots without lifting the pencil. The only way to do it was to go outside the box. Don't be afraid to think outside the box. Don't be afraid to fail big, to dream big. But remember, dreams without goals are just dreams. Reggie Jackson struck out 2,600 times in his career, the most in the history of baseball. But you don't hear about the strikeouts. People remember the home runs. Fall forward. Thomas Edison conducted 1,000 failed experiments. Did you know that? I didn't know that. Because the 1,001st was the light bulb. Fall forward. Every failed experiment is one step closer to success. You've got to take risks, and I'm sure you've probably heard that before, but I want to talk to you about why that's so important. You will fail at some point in your life. Accept it. You will lose. You will embarrass yourself. You will suck at something. There's no doubt about it. And I know that's probably not a traditional message for a graduation ceremony, but hey, I'm telling you, embrace it, because it's inevitable. In the acting business, you fail all the time. Early on in my career, I auditioned for a part in a Broadway musical. Perfect role for me, I thought, except for the fact that I can't sing. I didn't get the job. But here's the thing. I didn't quit. I didn't fall back. I walked out of there to prepare for the next audition, and the next audition, and the next audition. I prayed. I prayed. And I prayed. But I continued to fail, and fail, and fail. But it didn't matter, because you know what? There's an old saying, you hang around the barbershop long enough, sooner or later you're gonna get a haircut. So you will catch a break, and I did catch a break. Last year, I did a play called Fences on Broadway. But here's the kicker. It was at the Court Theater. It was at the same theater that I failed that first audition 30 years prior. The point is, every graduate here today has the training and the talent to succeed. But do you have the guts to fail? If you don't fail, you're not even trying. I'll say it again. If you don't fail, you're not even trying. To get something you never had, you have to do something you never did. So imagine you're on your deathbed, and standing around your deathbed are the ghosts representing your unfulfilled potential. The ghost of the ideas you never acted on. The ghost of the talents you didn't use. And they're standing around your bed, angry, disappointed, and upset. They say, we came to you because you could have brought us to life, they say. And now we have to go to the grave together. So I ask you today, How many ghosts are going to be around your bed when your time comes? I just got back from South Africa. It's a beautiful country, but there are places there with terrible poverty that need help. And Africa is just the tip of the iceberg. The Middle East needs your help. Japan needs your help. Alabama needs your help. Tennessee needs your help. Louisiana needs your help. Philadelphia needs your help. The world needs a lot, and we need it from you. We really do. We need it from you young people. I mean, I'm not speaking for the rest of us up here, but I know I'm getting a little grayer. We need it from you, the young people, because remember this. You got to get out there. You got to give it everything you got, whether it's your time, your talent, your prayers, or your treasures. What are you going to do with what you have? I'm not talking about how much you have. Some of you are business majors, some of you are theologians, nurses, sociologists, some of you have money, some of you have patience, some of you have kindness, some of you have love, some of you have the gift of long suffering, whatever it is, whatever your gift is. What are you going to do with what you have? All right, now here's my last point about failure. Sometimes it's the best way to figure out where you're going. Your life will never be a straight path. I began at Fordham University as a pre-med student. I took a course called cardiac morphogenesis. I couldn't read it, I couldn't say it, I sure couldn't pass it. So then I decided to go into pre-law, then journalism. And with no academic focus, my grades took off in their own direction. I was a 1.8 GPA. And the university very politely suggested that it might be better to take some time off. I was 20 years old. I was at my lowest point. And then one day, and I remember the exact day, March 27th, 1975, I was helping my mother in her beauty shop. My mother owned a beauty shop up in Mount Vernon. And there was this older woman who was considered one of the elders in the town. And I didn't know her personally, but I was looking in the mirror, and every time I looked at the mirror, I could see her behind me, and she was staring at me. She just kept looking at me. Every time I looked at her, she kept giving me these strange looks. So she finally took the dryer off her head and she said something I'll never forget. She said, "Young boy, I have a prophecy, a spiritual prophecy." She said, "You are going to travel the world and speak to millions of people." And in the years that followed, just as that woman prophesied, I have traveled the world and I have spoken to millions of people through my movies. Millions who up till this day couldn't see me, who up till this day I couldn't see while I was talking to them, and they couldn't see me, they could only see the movie. They couldn't see the real me. But I see you today, and I'm encouraged by what I see. And I'm strengthened by what I see. Because taking risk is not just about going for a job. It's also about knowing what you know and what you don't know. It's about being open to people and to ideas. The chances you take, the people you meet, the people you love, the faith that you have, that's what's going to define you. Never be discouraged. Never hold back. Give everything you got. And when you fall throughout life, remember this: fall forward.